What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the news affecting Tesla, what economic data is coming out very soon, how all of this could affect the market moving forward. But before I bring anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 6 free stocks. If you deposit $500 or more into the account, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks, plus 6 months of level 2 data, and a $25,000 deposit or more guarantees you 70 free stocks, plus 12 months of level 2 data. The offer ends in 2 weeks. Check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's talk about what's going on with Tesla and the market. Tesla's down so far during the pre-market, getting very close to our 4-hour 200 EMA, which is going to be support at 234.15. But it's not necessarily extremely bearish yet. We're not at the level yet. We're getting closer to it, but we're not there and still holding support. Now, the reason why Tesla is dropping is because the news just came out that the Tesla's China-made EV sales have fallen 17.8% in November. That's the biggest drop since December of 2022. And that's some very important news for them because it's leading to some concerns about their Chinese sales and whether or not Tesla is going to meet every single goal out there. With the weakness going on in China, this is affecting Tesla negatively, and this is going to be very important. Now, the deliveries on the Chinese made Model 3 and Model Ys were actually 13% higher than that of October, but compared to what we saw from before, some sales are actually kind of down. So, kind of mixed overall. The overall sales are what are actually down for now in November, but some models were outperforming from the Model 3 to the Model Y. Now, this is some big news for Tesla. It's part of why Tesla's kind of weak this morning. We'll be watching to see how other pieces of data affect it. At 10 o'clock a.m., we have the factory orders data coming out. Make sure you watch that. That's for Eastern Standard Time. And at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 3-month and the 6-month bill auction reports. Watch these very carefully. Watch for volatility at 11:30. Now, the market has been climbing and climbing and climbing. We're at resistance. We could get a little cool off. And as the market's cooling off, watch support to see if buyers try to defend soon, because we could still see that happen. And regardless of what happens, I still think that the market is ultimately bullish. So if we do get, a very small pullback here and there, if the market's a little down for, the next few days, it's okay. Because I think the market's ultimately going to get bought back up. And I think we're going to continue to see more upside later on for the next couple of weeks. Now, on top of this, Alaskan Air has agreed to buy Hawaiian Airlines for a $1.9 billion deal. Excuse me. That's good news for them. Spotify is going to be laying off 17% of its workforce, or about 1,500 employees. That's big news as well for anyone that's interested in playing the charts. Gold prices have touched a record high as demand is shifting. And on top of that, retailers had a very strong Thanksgiving shopping spree, as we're seeing them beating expectations by 8% of what spending growth was expected to be. But do not forget, a lot of this is just with borrowed money, and what's going to happen over time when a lot of this borrowed money has to be paid off. So here's what's going on with Tesla. Basically, when you zoom out, I initially had this on the daily chart. I had to adjust this just a bit, but Tesla's looking bearish pre-market for now. Watch the 200 EMA at 234. If we lose this support, our last critical support is going to be right here. So basically, I prefer going on the daily instead of the 4-hour, but on the daily time frame, we basically have support right here around 234. We have to try to hold this zone 233 to 234, or else Tesla could turn a bit more bearish. So I'm going to be watching that very carefully. But what matters more is going to be where Tesla closes. If we close below 232 to 230, if we lose that zone and we close below it, I'm going to turn bearish on Tesla, and I think that there's going to be a bigger drop coming to fill our gap in the 220s. We're so far holding support, so it doesn't make sense to turn way too bearish yet. So watch and see. Do the buyers defend 233 to 234, try to push Tesla back up and get us a close above our trend line? Or does Tesla end up losing the trend line and then turn bearish? watch for confirmation, watch our support, and see if Tesla closes above or below 230. Any close below 230, and I'm going to be very bearish on Tesla. I think that short term, there's going to be a bigger move to the downside. If we continue to hold above the trend line, then I can't turn extremely bearish yet. Okay, so we'll be watching this very carefully. We had some negative news that came out involving the Chinese sales. So that's bad news for Tesla. But watch the level just to be safe. Okay, we want to be safe, and we'll see if Tesla could hold support. Now, don't forget that resistance. We have resistance now at 235, 238, 240, 242, and 245. And support's going to be at the trend line once again. Do not forget about that. We'll see if this thing can close above this or not. As far as SPY goes, SPY has been dropping, right? I just want to mention that we have this previous resistance right over here, which is now going to be support, at least at these lower levels. So watch this 455 area right here on SPY. 455 is going to be key. If we lose this orange trend line, I'm going to turn a bit more bearish. And I think SPY could come down to 453. And then there's also 452. So one of the things I mentioned in my videos from yesterday was that the overall trend is still very bullish on SPY. Even if we do see some downside, I still think we're going to get bought up eventually and quite quickly too. Could take just a week for it to get bought right back up because the weekly is still looking bullish. And I think that SPY will eventually make its way up to 467 over the next couple of weeks. So I'm still bullish overall on the market. But I think that there could be some downside. I mentioned to you all that the downside tends to be kind of small, not like extreme, unless we get a bad catalyst. So we're getting a very tiny little drop right here. We could test this orange trend line around 455. So watch that support. If that fails us, we could get very close to 453.5. And then below that, we have 452. So watch for this potential drop, Watch the orange trend line right here. See if we hold 455 and bounce. If we lose it, we could turn a bit more bearish. Watch resistance at 456.5, then we have 457.5, and then 458. As of right now, we're sinking. We might actually test this orange trend line and watch and see if that holds. If it breaks, we could drop a little bit more, but watch that very, very carefully. On the QQQ, we're actually looking a little bit weaker on the QQQ. Watch 386 is key support. If we lose this, the next level is going to be 385. We have 385, which is where we had these wicks here, and then 384 will be our next level below that to 383.75. So watch and see if we get some kind of downside. This is going to be very key for us. We're actually looking a little bit weaker for the time being. If anything, I would say that as we're continuing to sell off a little bit, we have to watch our support very, very carefully. Watch support, see if this holds. QQQ could actually make an attempt to try to hold 385. We have a head and shoulders like pattern, which is leading to some downside. But I just want to warn you all that, look, I'm still bullish for the more like medium term. I think that if we do sell off a bit more, there could just be another buying opportunity because at the end of the year, for the last 2 weeks, last 2 to 3 weeks, I expect there to be a big rally, and I think the market's going to push more. We're just cooling off a bit so that the market could get bought up even more, and they're just trying to grab more liquidity. So the weekly of the QQQ tells me that 400 plus is going to come before the year ends, and this is just another buying opportunity. But right now, we're looking a little weaker. We're going to be watching 386 and some lower levels. So this is nothing more than just a buying opportunity in my eyes, and we're going to be watching to see how the charts are impacted by this. On Apple stock, I just want to mention that Apple's looking a little flat right now. It's actually not super bearish, not super bullish. Watch 189 as our key support. If we lose this, 188.5 and 188 are going to be two levels to watch for. Watch 189 as critical support. Watch resistance at 190. Then we have 191 above that. Now we have a gap that's forming. We'll see if this thing could hold 189 and bounce or not. And that's going to be very key for us. And then I also want to add that as far as Apple goes, on the weekly time frame, Apple actually has a bullish cross in the PPO. So ultimately, the chart is still bullish. We're still bullish overall. Could we cool off a little bit? Sure, it could still cool off temporarily. But later on down the line, I think we're going to get a big bounce, and Apple's going to make its way up to these highs we've seen previously. All right, that's my view of Apple. So is it looking bearish for now? Yes. We're basically testing 189. We could drop a bit more, but later on down the line, especially going into like the end of the year, I think there's going to be a lot more upside coming, and this is just another buying opportunity. I wouldn't necessarily like say I'm buying like here specifically. We could drop a bit more, but we're getting closer to some really good dips, and the market still has upside potential. Last but not least, for Nvidia, this is continuing to say we're going to be watching 460 because on Nvidia the daily 50 EMAs at 459 to 460. So watch that as support right here on the daily time frame. Now, if we're at this like 460 area, let's just say we lose 460, we're going to be watching 459. If that fails, let's watch 457.5. Then we have 455 below that. Watch and see if NVIDIA kind of sinks a little bit and we try to balance right here. But as of right now, I'm not extremely bearish. I need to see this support break first, the daily 50 EMA. If we lose this, then I would turn bearish. If we see NVIDIA like break below 459.75, it would just keep sinking, looks very weak, then I would turn more bearish. As of right now, I have to wait and see if support breaks. If we do break it, I would turn more bearish, but it's just holding support for the time being. So we'll just see if this thing loses that support. If it does do so, then we're going to be sinking for 457.5, then 455. If we hold it, there could be an attempt for NVIDIA to kind of chop around this range and make its way back up to 465 and then try to fill this gap up here very close to 468. But for now, watch support to see if this 50 EMA holds. If we lose it, I would turn more bearish. We'll just be watching it very, very carefully. That's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for listening. Hopefully this video was helpful when it came to different levels and such. And just know my view of the market is, could there be some temporary downside? Sure. Could the market try to cool off a bit? Yes. But ultimately, I think that there's going to be a lot of buying that's going to happen towards the end of the year. And I think that this is just creating or getting us closer to more buying opportunities. Now, could the market drop even more? Yes, even more buying opportunities could come, but I still think there's going to be an end of the year squeeze. I think that this is just the beginning. The market is just resetting a bit before the next big push that's going to come for the next couple of weeks. Okay, so that's what I have for this one. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you and peace out.